welcome to another episode. This time I'll be discussing about an important one, that is about AI, because there are a lot of news around artificial intelligence, chatbot, and recent time Google has introduced bot as well, which is similar or a competitor to chatbot as well. Will that create an extensive job loss? Because people are saying more jobs would be lost. And if you're not, well versed with ChatGPT, and then it could be a doomsday, something like that. It is being projected. So is it a hype? Another point we need to see, is it a hype like .com of 90s? Because last part of 1990, .com just burst and a lot of people lost job in .com, that is 1990. So that is what we are going to discuss in this presentation. So it's going to be really interesting. So stay tuned and watch the complete video. So now, in the recent time, I saw this in Tamil Nadu. It's a mad rush for AI data science courses. That is in Bachelor of Engineering, they have introduced AI and data science courses as well. And there is a mad rush for that to get the seats, whether it is through management quota or through the regular stream of through merit. So and again, if you look at just in Google, if you say will jobs be replaced by AI, you will get many hits. And even BBC has projected AI could replace 300 million jobs. So I want to look at it at 2 points, or from two perspectives. I just want to look at it. So look at what has happened earlier in 80s and 2000 when something similar had happened. So we'll see that. Number two is where are the opportunities going to be? So that is 2 points I'm going to analyze. So the first one is, of course, let's go back to 1980s or late 90s as what had happened. So 80s is where the personal computer got introduced in banks, railways, insurance, and people working there, resorted to strikes. They just wanted not introduced personal computer in banks, railways, insurance, because they felt that their jobs could be at stake, because those days it was before or at 1980s, it was just a manual process, manual ledgering, manual ticketing, everything was manual. There's no concept of computers, and when computer got introduced, there was enormous opposition for it. There was strike by employees those days. That was one part. And number two is late 90s also saw internet booming across the globe. There is hype about World Wide Web, that is WWW, and they said everything is going to be internet, and even if you are good in HTML, people got recruited just for HTML, for creating web pages. There was so much of hype those days for late 1990s around internet and WWW. Finally, ultimately, what had happened? Did we see job loss then? It is in 80s and 90s. 80s, not much, but 90s, yes. There's a answer is yes and no, because 1990s WWW or internet when came in, lot of recruitment happened, and then the .com burst, lot of people lost job. But 1980, computer was introduced and people didn't lose jobs at all. So that is one part of it. So we are similar to that stage. AI, we are similar to that stage, what we have witnessed in 80s or 90s. So this is one part of it. The second part is, what is that the transaction which is more critical for us for every day? So if you look at it, one is the banking transaction, which is very, millions or billions of dollars are used world across for online banking transactions. So this is one very essential. Without that, the world can come to a stop. Online banking transaction, online e-commerce transaction, if you want to buy online, then that is also there. So 50% of business transactions are on this. And the regular statutory requirement for any company, enterprise resource planning. So 50% of them are in this one. The computer requirement, software requirement, or revolves around the online banking, e-commerce, and business, enterprise resource planning. So this is considered as a lifeline of usage of computers. So the point again to understand is, if you look at here, is AI going to influence it? It's very, very minute. Maybe something like, instead of logging in with user ID password, maybe they can use face or fingerprint recognition. At some point of time, it might become commonly used, because there are hundreds, even these days you have access to tens and hundreds of sites, and having same password, you are compromising the same password. Again, for bank site password, you shouldn't use another site, because you might be exposing the password to the rest of the world. So if you have hundreds of password, remembering them will be difficult, and that's where probably face recognition or fingerprint recognition will become a part of a service. So probably the point I'm trying to convey is that, apart from the critical transactions over here, instead of logging in, this could become in future it is going to be based on your face or based on your fingerprint. So this could even become a function as a service. So if you are in cloud, something like infrastructure as a service, software as a service, this could become a function of a service. So the software is randomized and you pay for this service, and which will recognize the face or the fingerprint. So, and then again the point is, this part is AI driven, completely AI driven. So only this part is AI driven for logging in. Otherwise, the core business or core functionality is going to be the same, and there are opportunities going to be there in these segments, like for banking, e-commerce site, whatever is there currently happening, it will continue to happen. So this one could be a new opportunity, no doubt on that. So considering all this, and again, if you look at, this is a hype cycle, generally it goes like this. So we are, as far as AI is concerned, we are at the peak, almost at the peak. At some point of time, the hype will dive down, and then it will take 1 or 2 years before it will really see that adoption rate. So currently, I would say there are a lot of hype around AI, though the requirement will not completely dive down, but everybody is jumping into the AI, considering that it's going to be a kind of going to give you enormous future. So you need to be cautious. So what should one do? One should focus on the fundamentals. AI, as far as AI is concerned, though it could involve mathematics, statistics, and so on, but as far as computer is concerned, it is just a subset of computer science. Hence, focus on your programming, analytical, logical skills. So that is very, very important. So you need to be good at that. And then focus on cloud infrastructure, because instead of on-premises, many things will become as a service. So you pay for it, you get it. So focus on the cloud infrastructure, learnings on the cloud infrastructure, and then integration and interface. So it's not going to be, the future is not going to be you just going to program with just one programming language. You need to have interface and integration with multiple system. You need to use the cloud infrastructure, some functions. You need to call the API, get the requirement and use it in programming. So integration and interface with various systems, you need to have a good knowledge on that. And additionally, learn AI and ML techniques. What are the different machine learning techniques? For example, face recognition is something called supervised learning. So what is supervised learning? What is semi-supervised learning? And so many things are there. So you can learn additionally about AI and ML techniques so that it becomes much more handy. Suppose you can go to the computer science core in the sense like your banking application or your e-commerce application development, or if the opportunity exists, then you can get into AI, ML as well. So final points, don't just get carried away by the term AI. As far as in my opinion, we are in the hype cycle, higher end of hype cycle. Over the period of time, it will come down and then it will stabilize. Maybe in few years time it will get stabilized. No doubt there is going to be opportunities. Don't get carried away that it is the only field where there is going to be opportunities. That is the point I just want to drive. Thank you.